when we go through this stuff, you really just kind of look at, all right, how do we get this guy to game ready? What position do we project him at, et cetera, et cetera. So he's a big man. You're going to see in both the tapes that I looked at, it doesn't take a lot of snaps to figure out kind of what his game's all about. The one thing he does that is consistent is he is always ending up with some sort of back foot stagger. He likes to lean into his players right now, which isn't a great thing, but he does have a good use of his hands. And I think maybe more importantly, as it pertains to the Green Bay Packers, this guy likes to finish blocks as often as possible. So this is probably the favorite play that we have on the tape here. So he connects in, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. But then we just see how this whole play finishes out. Over, driving him off the screen. Anytime you get an off the screen block, man, you gotta get fired up, because you just think about the last 3-4 years. How many off the screen blocks do you see, coming out of the Packers line? Not that they don't have a good line, blah blah blah, but it's just different right now. Here's one thing we have to take a look at. So he's got not much of a stagger, and apologize, I'm using something new here, but you see not much of a stagger here. He does a pretty good job of getting out. He tries to stay flat. Moves around pretty well for a big guy. But because of his footwork, we'll just kind of see, kicks back, does a good job staying flat, has a little bit of a flat set because of that. And something we'll probably have to work on as we get further down the road. So you begin this play here, we're really thinking 1, and then this guy's going to drop. So he's going to check back inside. 2, 1, 2, and then reset with a hand here, just get the edge. Does a pretty good job, has good awareness. You like a lot of the stuff this guy does on the tape. The thing that stands out the most, honestly, is he just seems like he's an aggressive player. Now, we go back to it, and because of that stagger, there's a lot of kind of flat setting. And what do I mean by flat setting? We're just kind of going this direction, which is going to be tough against speed rushers in the National Football League. Something that he can probably fix. There's always kind of a hop out, and we're just kind of letting our athleticism and our size engulf. You just look at the body profile and position right here. Hands are low, chest is up a little bit high. He's got a decent hip hinge, but there's just some things we can correct. But he's patient, and listen. The great thing about having 330 pounders is this right here. Effectively, this guy, like, we always know you're going to be okay, and you're always confident. If we go back and just watch this, like, this guy is not worried about second level rushers coming. He's just, okay, we'll be all right. And again, love the hand placement here. Love the hand placement. So we're looking right here. Just watch the initial movement. It's kind of straight up and down. Feet are together. If you're just looking at footwork here. So there's a lot of stuff we can look to improve on. The thing is that the game's not as fast, obviously, 1, and then 2, he is we just don't have a lot of big guys, and you're going to have to play with a better base. You're going to have to play with a better hip hinge. But again, there's a little bit of just this natural body presence and control that comes with being 330 some odd pounds and being able to get around a little bit, that it's just an element of the game that Packers don't really have. And this is what you love again. At the end of this, he's always trying, he gets a hold of this guy, and he's just always trying to finish off the screen. You see this pass protection, you see the initial stance. This isn't going to play in the National Football League. You're going to have, if you stand with that little of a stagger at the tackle position against the guy who can really get upfield, you're going to have some problems. This is something that's easily fixable. He's got that flat set jump outside, and then he's pretty decent. Again, a lot of headbutting, but that's how it is in college. Not a bad job of the footwork here. Looking at it from a different angle. Love the hands. Always tries to finish. Again, doesn't seem like a big deal here, but you're getting a finish block. There's a lot on this. I just watched 2 series from 2 tapes, and you get a lot of finish blocks from this guy. And if nothing else, you're going to change that attitude. Again, trying to finish. Always trying to finish. Love it. Look at this block. Oh, I mean, road grading. What a great job. So they have, we just call this a slip. So we have a slip. So 1, 2, up to the backer. And man, they just crush this guy. Hands inside, gets to the second level, straining to make contact, straining to keep pressure on. Really good job. And the dude is excitable, man. You gotta love it. Gotta love it. Yeah, you can clean everything up, but like at the end of the day, guys, here's what we're looking at. Does the kid like to like try to physically dominate people? Does he have the capacity to do so? I mean, I can sit here and I can tell you that his hands are too high or I don't like his base, but like, you know, that's why we have coaching. Big body, moves decent. Base block on a little play action here. Inside second. You just don't want him to lead into it, but you see how he plays the arms extended, gives himself some time. And that there, you see he has the recovery ability, and then he sinks his hips. This is exactly what you want. So this game shows you just maybe a little something different, some other cracks in the arm, and you just start with this initial snap, and we're just talking about pad level, and then we're looking at his hands, okay, and they're outside. Again, all the stuff can be fixed, but you don't necessarily love that because he's not going to gain his ground, especially when you get these like keeper plays. We don't know if this is an RPO with a quarterback keep or it's a designed run or a designed keeper, but you want to come off and really be able to slam hands into the middle of the chest plate. You want to keep that pad level down. Again, the biggest thing is like it starts with your stance, and like this stance doesn't give him an opportunity to generate a lot of power right off the line of scrimmage. And so especially if you're going to, go and maybe you're going to play tackle or maybe you're going to try to fight for one of those guard positions, I'm not sure, but if you just look at this, like you're really going to have to learn how to play with lower hips if you want to play at the guard position. Obviously, 3-point stance are help. He hasn't had to do that in college. Okay. So again, here's a guy that's winning, and here's a guy that we're not going to, you never apologize for winning, but just if we're looking at the set because of the stance, it's going to have to go out, so we have to jump. He's a big guy, and he does a good job of staying square to the line of scrimmage. Okay, so we like all of that. You see the little bit of a hop. He's got a reach. Can he chop that hand and go inside? Is there opportunities there because of it? Again, the big thing he's doing, he's covering up. He's a massive human, and he keeps his shoulder pad square to the line of scrimmage. So he does a lot of good things. Tries to play extended right here. Has a pretty decent balance as far as his ability to not get beat on that spin. A lot of good stuff there. Good looking play right here. We're going to pass this off. We're going to pass this game off. Out, back in. Easy, keeping extended. Again, giving yourself that time. And then you can't see it here, but you see his feet. He's chasing the football. Seems like a little thing. It's a big deal. Okay. And this is, again, we just talked about footwork and what is the problem here? Well, it's that stance. So your first step's here, first step's there, and then you're going to end up going backwards and kind of backpedaling. You can get away with that at the college level. You can get away with that if you're Walter Jones, but against the pro guy, he ends up in a great position. You call this a win. And if you're watching the tape, it's like you're not going to knock. Again, we care about the process a little bit more than the outcome, so we just have to look at that and go, okay, we can definitely do some work with that. Again, I think 99% of that is just how he stands. Get out of that particular stance, you'll be in a better shape. Okay, so they're going to spike this guy down, and we're going to try to either cut him off or drive him vertically. Now, to do that, you got to have great pad level, and you have to have your hands inside. So he takes the right footwork. You see that second step just kind of shuffles over, and then you're catching. You got hands outside. And again, like guys, this is pretty high level stuff. So we can always look to improve this, but you'd love to be able to get that and drive it vertically this way, not let the guy cross your face. Now, defensive end doesn't make the play, and 74 gets a little of this action, love it. I can't tell. He might be actually even flatter with his stance when he's in the run game, which is kind of wild. You see that he's not punching, he's reaching with his hands. You see he's not punching, he's reaching, then he's headbutting, he's using that mass, okay? This is all just very coachable stuff, but look at just by driving the feet and finishing the block, he's going to end up on the ground, but look what the running back has as far as a lane. Love the effort. Love the effort. I think athletically, just off the top of my head, athletically at the tackle position against premier pass rushers in the league, that maybe that's a tough ask, but a jump rope and a couple years of training does wonders.